go side by side on the gas out of turn 4. Green out. Andy Shamel to the outside. Scott Curran down to the bottom. They race side by side for the lead. Lee Jacobs into the 3rd spot. Scott Euler 4th. Bruce Robinette looks to the inside of Euler for the 4th spot out of turn 4. Side by side for the lead. Look out, Andy Shamel. Scott Curran almost touch. Shamel gets the advantage. Here comes Lee Jacobs with a slide job into 2nd. Andy Shamel, Lee Jacobs, Scott Curran, Bruce Robinette, Caleb Griffith, your top 5. Here comes Caleb Griffith into the 4th spot. Through the 3rd position down the backstretch. Here he comes on the bottom side by side with Scott Curran for the 3rd position. He'll move up in front of him. Andy Shamel, Lee Jacobs. Jacobs down to the inside of Shamel for the lead. Slide job in 3 and 4. Still side by side. New leader Lee Jacobs on the high side. Andy Shamel, Caleb Griffith, Scott Curran, Bruce Robinette, your top 5. Then it's Scott Euler, Brian Smith, and Mark Imler rounding out the field. In the air for Lee Jacobs. Through turns 3 and 4. Checkered flag in the air for Lee Jacobs. 2nd going to go to Andy Shamel. 3rd to Caleb Griffith. 4th to Scott Curran. The final transfer spot to Bruce Robinette. 6th to Scott Euler, Mark Imler, and Brian Smith will round out the field. So starting 14th in tonight's A main will be the 98 of Bruce Robinette by virtue of his 5th place run. Finishing 4th in that heat race, Scott Curran in the 69, 3rd to the 12 of Caleb Griffith, 2nd to the 48 of Andy Shamel. And put your hands together, the winner of your Bell Race Products heat race number 2 out of Dalton, Ohio, Lee Jacobs. Once again, the Bauman Auto Group pace truck hits the infield. Vigo racing out of turn 4, 8 laps, top 5. Moving tonight's 30 lap. Burns Electric, A-Main, Carino. Matt Linder down to the bottom, Jody Keegan. Slingshots around, but no. Matt Linder slides up, blocks the move. Here comes Brian Sabino on the outside and Cap Henry on the inside, battling for 3rd. Matt Linder out front, Jody Keegan in 2nd. The battle for 3rd, Brian Sabino and Cap Henry with Brock Mays right on his bumper. Brock Mays on the move. Brian Sabino, Brock Mays trading slide jobs for the 3rd spot. Brock Mays now with the slide job in 1 and 2 for the 3rd spot. Sabino almost touches down the backstretch. Out front it's Matt Linder, Jody, hang on, Kevin Lee off the racetrack in 3 and 4, and that will bring out the yellow flag. Here we go, single file restart, on the gas, green out. Brock Mays, Brian Sabino still battle for that 3rd spot. 3 wide down the backstretch for the final transfer position. Mark Keegan, Brandon Martin, and Cap Henry. Cap Henry moves into that 5th and final transfer spot. Still battling for 3rd. Brock Mays, Brian Sabino. Matt Linder, Jody Keegan now. Brock Mays, Brian Sabino, Cap Henry, your top 5. There's the white flag one more time around. Here it is, checker flag for Matt Linder, Jody Keegan 2nd, Brock Mays 3rd, 4th to Brian Sabino, the final transfer spot to Cap Henry, Mark Keegan 6th, 7th to Brandon Martin, and Kevin Lee rounds out the field. Pretty entertaining heat race for your Friendship Food Stores heat race number 3. Rolling off 15th in tonight's A main will be the 04 of Cap Henry. Finishing fourth in that heat race, the 16 of Brian Sabito. Third to Brock Mays in the 11B. Second to Jody Keegan in car 60. And how about a nice round of applause for the winner of your Friendship Food Stores heat race number 3 out of Hushockton, Georgia, Matt Linder. Second spot. Out front, it's Dwayne Zablocki. Second down to Scott Euler. The battle for third. Mark Keegan in the X. David Harrison in the 10. Here comes Brandon Martin in the 11M on the inside of Mark Keegan. Zablocki out front. Scott Euler, David Harrison with smoke pouring out of the 10 car. Brandon Martin fourth. The battle for the final transfer spot from the tail. Kevin Lee grabs the final transfer spot from Mark Keegan and Brian Smith. Oh, David Harrison off the high side of 1 and 2, and that will bring out the caution. 4 laps in. 6 to go, and your B main is David Harrison with a lot of smoke off the 10 car. Up your final B main of the evening for your Fremont Fence 305 sprints. Then we roll right into the Burns Electric A mains for the evening. Single file restart. Here we go on the gas. The battle is for the third spot. Kevin Lee to the inside of Brandon Martin. Dwayne Zablocki flies out front, pulling away from Scott Euler. Brandon Martin third, fourth to the 3J of Kevin Lee. The final transfer to Mark Keegan. Brian Smith takes a look to the inside of Keegan. Zablocki pulling away out front. He's got a half straightaway advantage over Scott Euler. The battle now is for the fourth spot. Mark Keegan and Kevin Lee race side by side. Mark Keegan now on the move as the white flag goes in the air. Here he comes out of turn number 4. Checkered flag in the air for Dwayne Zablocki. Second gonna go to Scott Euler. Who's gonna get third out of turn 4? Give it to Mark Keegan. Brandon Martin fourth, the final transfer spot to the 3J of Kevin Lee. Bauman Auto Group pace truck hits the infield. 30 laps lie ahead. Here we go. Brock Mays, Craig Mintz looking for the first wins of the season here at Attica Raceway Park on the gas, side by side. Reno! Brock Mays gonna lead lap number 1. The battle for second, Craig Mintz and Lee Jacobs with Brian Sabito right on their bumper. Sabito, Lee Jacobs side by side down the backstretch for third. Matt Linder loops it out in turn 2, almost disaster. Matt Linder does a 360, keeps it going, but the yellow comes out. 2 laps in the books. Track champion. He's got a feature win up at Butler Battlegrounds in Butler, Michigan this season. Here we go, single file restart, green up. Here comes Brian Sabino with a slide job for second on Craig Mintz. Brian Sabino moves into the second spot. In the books. Brock Mays out front, but Brian Sabino starting to reel him in. Craig Mintz third, fourth. Lee Jacobs fifth, the Chris Andrews sixth. Jody Keegan seventh, Andy Shammo eighth. Caleb Griffith ninth. Mike Linder, and rounding out the top 10, Brandon Martin from the tail. Lap traffic ahead, and Brian Sabino is reeling in your leader. Lap traffic ahead, and they're running nose to 10. Now Craig Mill, Brock Mays, upside down in turn 4. Scott Curran gets together with your leader, Brock Mays, both of them upside down. Eight laps in the books. Heavy lap traffic for your leader. Wing damage on the 16 of Brian Sabino, who will now be your leader. So that'll put Brian Sabino in the lead. Craig Mintz in second, Lee Jacobs third. Fourth to Chris Andrews and Jody Keegan will round out the top 5. Back out. That top wing of Brian Sabino starting to cave in. Here comes the 25 of Lee Jacobs. That wing damage not slowing Brian Sabino down on the high side. 10 laps in the books. Mike Linder now on the move. Lap traffic ahead for Brian Sabino. Here comes Craig Mintz starting to close the gap. Halfway home this time by. Craig Mintz closing in on Brian Sabino. Closing in on Brian Sabino, goes down to the bottom with lap traffic ahead. Craig Mintz right on his rear bumper, here we go. Mintz slide job in 1 and 2 for the lead. Craig Mintz with the advantage down the backstretch. Here comes Sabino to the inside. 09, your leader, Craig Mintz. Brian Sabino second now, Lee Jacobs challenges. Jacobs to the inside of Sabino. 10 laps to go. Lee Jacobs into the wall. Keeps it going, but Brian Sabino closes. Here comes the 312 of Mike Linder. Smoke out of the 25 of Lee Jacobs. He pulls off. Your leader, Mike Linder now moves into the second spot. Brian Sabino third, fourth to Chris Andrews, and Brandon Martin rounds out the top 5. Jody Keegan third, check that. 7 laps to go for Craig Mintz. Mike Linder in second, Jody Keegan third, Brian Sabino fourth. In the air, 5 laps to go for Craig Mintz. The battle is for third, Jody Keegan and Brian Sabino. Look at this battle for second, Mike Linder, Brian Sabino, and Jody Keegan. 3 laps to go for Craig Mintz. A half straightaway advantage for Craig Mintz. Mike Linder in second, Brian Sabino third, Jody Keegan fourth, Brandon Martin rounds out the top 5. You'll see the white flag in the air out of turn 4. Here he is, Craig Mintz. Turns 3 and 4, checkered flag in the air for Craig Mintz. Second gonna go to Mike Linder, third to Brian Sabino. Here comes the battle for fourth. Give it to Jody Keegan. Brandon Martin finishes in the 5th spot. 6th to Chris Andrews, 7th to Brandon Martin, 8th Caleb Griffith. Let him hear it, race fans, Craig Mintz! Erie Shore Propane, KS Sales and Service, Real Geese Decoys, the sponsors, his 4th career win here at Attica Raceway Park. Well, I joked with you a little bit. I said, you know, you go down there Skyline and you pick up all those wins. You come here, though, and you get it done on a fast night.
I can't believe it, actually. I mean, I think Brock had the fastest car again, but you know, it's just one of them things. I just try to stay patient, let them guys go, and hopefully we can get in lap traffic and do some racing. Say what, this is a fast racetrack tonight, and Pat put a heck of a setup onto this race car, and my dad, Pat Harger, Kemp Tyson, Denny Keller. I got to thank all them guys, Erie Shore Propane, Keller Chevrolet, KSL's in service. If it wasn't for them, this race car wouldn't be here.
You know, you had about a half-track advantage on them.
Yeah, I really didn't know that. I just was kind of doing the best I could with what I had, and try to get around lap cars the best I could, and every one of them was great, and you know, held their line, which it helps us, you know, guys up front, and I've been there before, so you know, it's I'm glad everybody came out, and let's go to the next one.
This was a fast deal. You made mention that those wins that you get early on in the season gives you confidence for this fast situation.
Yeah, I mean, if you know, the wins, every win helps the morale, but you know, the more and more you get, the more, you know, you have more confidence in yourself. And us going to Skylines helped us out a little bit because it's getting slick down there. And we're working on our slick track setup, so we helped a little bit tonight. But tonight was just put your foot on the floor and hold on.
All right, let him hear it, race fans, on Burns Electric Night, Craig Mintz. Or avoid disaster. Picking up the Hefner Racing Products Tough Luck Award, Brock Mays in the 11B gets a $25 Hefner Racing Product gift certificate.